is around relationships. The researchers in positive psychology all concur that the biggest contributor to our happiness is social relationships. When we have happy relationships in our lives, we tend to be happy. When we're experiencing marital conflict or in a kind of abusive or toxic relationship, it tends to taint really the rest of our lives. And I want to share with you a couple of little tips in creating positive relationships. The first one is known as attentive listening. And this is when we listen to whoever we're talking to without trying to prepare our answer in our head. So sometimes we're having, especially when we're having a heated conversation, we've got this thing saying, yeah, but preparing for our rebuttal on everything they say. Instead of doing that, if we can employ attentive listening, we reserve judgment and we don't interrupt, we really listen to understand. As part of the research I did for my second book, the top 5 sources of stress were first work, second and third were money, so day-to-day savings, and secondly long-term savings. And in fourth and fifth place, so the top 2 relationship troubles that people found sources of stress were connected with children and with their partner, their spouse. So if we can employ attentive listening with our spouse and our children, it can go a long way to really build happier relationships. The next one I want to talk about is boundaries. We know from Brené Brown that when our boundaries are in jeopardy, we feel resentment. So that's a nice little trigger. If you start to feel quite resentful about that thing, I said I would go to that talk and I didn't feel like it, then you're starting to feel like, now my boundaries are I haven't really fought for my needs and kept my boundaries in place. One of the key things I learned as this experience of burnout is that I didn't identify my needs and I didn't express them. I was living this life of obligation. I did whatever everyone else expected of me. And I think women in particular and mothers, we tend to put our needs right at the bottom and everybody else's things get serviced and everyone else is looked after and we put ourselves last. And the danger with that is that our needs are never met and then we live in this constant state of resentment. Why doesn't anyone look after me? Doesn't anyone see what I need? So I've really learned to vocalize that, to express those. So part of this was telling my husband what I needed, to say things like, I need you to take the kids out for 3 hours on a Saturday so that I can rest. And that's what I did when I was recovering. I had to express that to him. And then he was able to deliver. Before that, didn't really know how to help me. He was a bit helpless. And he's not a bad guy. He's just clueless. He didn't know what to do until I gave him a distinct instruction and then he delivered. So that made our relationship quite a lot better. I think we live a lot in this, we've got all these expectations and we expect our partner to mind read and know what we need. We've actually got to say it out loud. And even small things with my children also need to know that I have needs. So at the dinner table, I say things like, when I've prepared this meal and I've stood there and I've slaved over and I've put a lot of love into it, and I sit down at the table with my family and I want to have a peaceful, connecting time. But there's fighting and someone's crying and Dad's off getting his beer and, this is what I want. I want a nice meal together. So I express that to them. I say my needs are not being met. I want to sit down with my family. I want to connect for even 15 minutes of the day to share and to relate to each other, to hear what's happening. So I express that so that my children understand, we can actually say what we need. That's acceptable. So I'm trying to model that for them. And the third area I want to talk about in relationships is these beautiful things called mirror neurons. In our brain, we have specialist brain cells, and they're called mirror neurons. What they do is that within 33 milliseconds, when you look at someone, you can mirror that feeling and emotion that's going on for them, whether we're aware of it or not. And I'm sure you've experienced something like this. Someone comes into the room and they're all buoyant and full of life, and they bring this energy and everything feels uplifted. And conversely, somebody comes in, this country's going to pots and this is happening, and they just bring down the mood. You feel that drags you down. Well, that energy, when you feel that this person's so, negative, that's your mirror neurons in action. There's actually something going on in your physiology that's allowing you to feel that. So what I did actively as part of my recovery as well is to really notice how I feel around people, and to spend more time with people who lift me up and who make me feel good about myself and who have energy and enthusiasm, people like Claire, and less time with negative people who are complaining all the time and criticizing me and bringing me down. So I actively maneuver that to say, okay, I want to spend more time with them, and less time with those people. And that I do on purpose, intentionally, because I want to protect my energy and my